Hi, I'm Sean with Ikan, and today I'll be introducing you to the OTTICA-4K PTZ NDI HX camera. The OTTICA-4K is a 60 frames per second PTZ camera that utilizes NDI HX, which is a low bandwidth, high efficiency version of full NDI. It also uses a Sony CMOS sensor and has a varifocal lens with 12x optical zoom. It can output video through the Ethernet port, HDMI port, USB 3 port simultaneously all together. I'll show you more how that works later. It also works in conjunction with our OTTICA IP Camera Controller. You can use this to control the camera over your local network using VISCA, ONVIF, or PELCO protocols. And it's just a really great camera, and I have to point out that we're actually using this OTTICA-4K to film this episode of Tech Tips. All right, now I'll show you what comes in the box. Obviously, you get your OTTICA-4K PTZ camera. Then we have the RS422, RS485 connector. You get a USB 3.0 cable. We have a RS232 control cable. This is a RS232 cascade cable. We have a power adapter. And you have your wall mount and mounting screws. It also comes with the infrared remote controller. This will allow you to control the various camera parameters, including pan, tilt, zoom, focus, and preset camera positions. It'll also allow you to access the menu where you can control other parameters such as shutter speed, exposure, color, and more features that we'll go through later. And of course, you get your user manual. Let's go ahead and take a look at the back of the camera here. We've got our on and off switch. We've got our DC 12 volt input. We've got our NDI output through LAN. We've got a system selector. We've got RS232 in and out. We've got RS422, RS485 connectors. We've got audio line in. We've got USB 3.0 out and HDMI out. All right, now I'm going to show you various ways to set the OTTICA-4K up. First, I'm going to set it up to my laptop here using NDI HX. To start with, we have our laptop connected to our network via Ethernet through our Netgear switch. If you're using PoE or Power over Ethernet, this camera operates at 802.3 AF or 15.4 watts. But for today, we're just going to have it plugged in straight to the wall socket. What we're going to want to do first is just plug in our OTTICA-4K to the wall. We're going to use another Ethernet cable to connect the camera to the network as well. All right, next we're going to open up an application called Advanced IP Scanner so that we can find the OTTICA-4K's IP address. You can download this IP scanner on our website on the OTTICA-4K product page at icancorp.com. So this is a relatively simple process. We're just going to open up the Advanced IP Scanner program here. We're going to click Scan up in the upper left-hand corner, and this will scan the entire network. All right, so once you find the device, you're going to want to right-click and hit Copy, and then IP. That'll copy the IP address. All right, once we have it copied, we're gonna go up to the URL bar of our internet browser and paste it. All right, now our login screen will pop up and you'll want to type in your password. The default username and password is admin. You can change this to your own personalized username and password in the configurations menu later on if you want. All right, once you've logged in, you now have access to the NDI video feed and controls directly through the OTTICA-4K's web client. This web client will allow you to control various parameters, including pan, tilt, zoom, exposure, shutter speed, focus, color temperature, sound, preset positions, compression format, resolution, bitrate, frame rate, noise reduction, character displays, and a lot more. All right, now I'm going to use OBS to showcase the various video outputs on the OTTICA-4K. This is relatively simple. First, you want to download the NDI plugin on the obsproject.com forums. They have a download link and a tutorial on how to install it as well. All right, I have the software open now. As you can see, I have under scenes, I have scene 1 here. We're going to work under that one for right now. I'm going to right click here under sources, go to add, and go to NDI Source. And you see it'll give me the option to create a new source here. You can rename it whatever you want, but we're just going to stick with NDI Source. And under source name, there's a drop down box here. We're going to go ahead and choose the camera, and it should pop up with our NDI source here. Okay, now I'm going to hook up the included USB cable here to show you the USB 3.0 output. We'll just plug this straight into the camera here, and then into our laptop. Now I'm gonna go back into the same scene here under sources. I'm going to right click again, add, except instead of adding an NDI source this time, we're gonna go to video capture device. And then once again, it'll give you the option to create a new source, but we're gonna keep the name the same. Just video capture device will be fine. All right, another window will pop up right here, and we'll go ahead and go to the drop down here under device, and we'll choose HD camera. And this will give me the camera's feed, but this time out from the USB 3.0. Now I'm going to show you how to bring in video through HDMI. Now we're going to need a USB capture device, which we have our very own HomeStream HDMI to USB capture device here that we're going to be using. So we just want to plug this into a USB port. So we'll plug in the HDMI to the input there. And then now we're going to want to plug in the HDMI to the camera itself. Now we'll go back into OBS, and under sources, we'll go to add, video capture device once again. We're going to keep this the same, video capture device. And now under drop down, you're going to want to select USB video. I know that might be a little bit confusing since it is coming from an HDMI source, but just have to remember that it is going through a USB converter. So we're going to select USB video, and there we go. The HDMI output is now being fed through the USB and into OBS. All right, I've set up a little screen here to show you that we do have 3 inputs coming in through the feed simultaneously. I can now input a microphone through the 1/8" input in the back. This audio signal will also output itself simultaneously through each of these video outputs. It will basically just attach itself. This is the OTTICA IP controller. We can use this to control the OTTICA-4K's pan, tilt, and zoom functions over Ethernet, as well as focus, iris, red, and blue gain, preset positions, and a lot more. You can find out more about this IP controller on icancorp.com as well. You can also control the OTTICA-4K using this controller through RS-232 or RS-422 or RS-485 if you want to, rather than controlling it over Ethernet. It supports IP VISCA, supports PELCO protocols, and ONVIF. And I'll show you how to use the control a little bit more in depth. All right, after it's booted up, you're gonna wanna hit the IP button here, and you're gonna wanna input the IP address of the OTTICA-4K. Then it'll ask us for the port number for the type of protocol that we're going to be using to control the camera, which in this case would be VISCA. So we're going to type in 1259. Now that we've inputted the IP address, I'm going to go ahead and show you some of the features in the setup menu. So here we have the ability to delete a device. We can set the IP address to DHCP or static. We can turn it off and on the ketone sounds. We can set the language. We can set up our control mode, which here we have ONVIF, VISCA, PELCO. We have the device's IP address here. This is just the version. You can factory reset it. And you can also set function 1 and 2 buttons. Aside from that, we also have a zoom rocker here. You can control the focus and the iris here. You have on-camera display, home, function 1 and 2 buttons, autofocus. You can control the red and blue grain, and you can set the PTZ speed. Also on the joystick itself, if you rotate it left or right, you can actually zoom in or widen the image. This is the Ikan OTTICA-4K NDI HX enabled PTZ camera. For more information, go to icancorp.com, and I'll see you next time.